So, with that, our next friend, Brian Meeker, is going to take us on a journey. I can't wait. A journey through RSI. Let's see where that journey takes us.
Thank you. Like I said, my name's Brian Meeker. Let's step back a long time ago when I was a bright-eyed, bushy-tailed college freshman. So during college freshman orientation week, we did a community service day, and we had to sign one of two sheets. One of them sent you on a quest to count chairs. The other one sent you on a quest to do heavy-duty landscaping. I chose the heavy-duty landscaping one. I didn't think much of it at the time because you can't tell from my current physique. I was a competitive weightlifter back then. So for me, it was just another workout day. So it was all fine until the next day when I woke up with just unexpected pain in my hands and wrists. And I was a college freshman. I was young and invincible. But it didn't go away. Through my next 4 years of college, the pain continued to get worse and worse until it was all the way up my arms. I remember distinctly being huddled over at my desk senior year, trying to figure out how I was ever going to manage to have a career in software. So we flash forward to my first job. I'm only a few months out of school, and I had been using this quote-unquote ergonomic keyboard. And it was time to upgrade to something else. Like, the pain was just getting worse and worse. So I spent a few $100s on one of these, which proceeded to make it much, much worse because the change in typing caused me just to be like huddled over in pain pretty much every day after work. So only 6 months into my career, I started consulting doctors and ended up having a cubital tunnel release on my right arm. The doctor was a little hesitant on that. He said my symptoms weren't quite as bad as he would usually see for someone to get this. But he changed his tune after the surgery when he said, based on the amount of scar tissue and inflammation he had just cleaned up, he didn't understand how I was functioning. Unfortunately, it didn't really help. 6 months later, everything had just come back. We didn't treat the cause, we just treated the symptoms. So it gave me some temporary relief, but I ended up on various pain medications, going to pain management clinics. I had a terrible situation where getting a cortisone shot, the nurse hit my ulnar nerve. I do not wish that upon anybody. That is the worst pain I've ever felt in my life, and I don't want it topped. But things started to change when I came to CodeMash for the first time in 2012. They were open spaces, and I decided to do an RSI open space. And one of the rules of open spaces is if one person gets value out of it, it was a valuable open space. One person showed up to my open space that year. And I forget their name, and I'm sorry that I forget their name because they helped me a lot. They told me about the Sore Hands mailing list, and it was full of people who were struggling with this just like me, people who had just a plethora of ideas of various levels of desperation. But I just started with one of the simpler ones, which was the paleo diet. Now, the TLDR on this is just you eat meat, fruit, vegetables, and tree nuts. And I fully understand today that the science around this is really slim. But when you're desperate, you don't really care. I fully sympathize with people who fall into medical pseudoscience. When nothing has worked for you, you don't really care why it worked anymore. So for me, about 2 months in, my wife and I went on vacation. I wasn't quite sure if it was helping, so I don't want to eat this diet on my vacation. I want to eat whatever I want. And I quickly realized, oh no, this was actually helping. So coming back, I was all in. 6 months later, I was about 90% better. I was able to wean myself off addictive pain medications. I didn't have to go to a pain management clinic anymore and be treated like an addict. And I used to spend about 15 hours a week doing various exercises and icing just to numb the pain. It was basically a part-time job just to manage this outside of work. So today I'm not 100% better, and I never will be. I've been typing on this vertical keyboard for the past 15 years. It's fantastic. I cannot use a normal mouse. I use an Apple trackpad. It's sitting there in the middle. So about a decade ago, or it had been about a decade, and I decided to celebrate. Some people get tattoos because they look cool. Some people get them for very personal reasons. For me, it was both. Friends in college had joked for years with me that I should just cut my arms off and get some mechanical ones. So I decided to lean into the gallows humor, and I got myself a mechanical arm from Adam France in Columbus, who's a fantastic artist. So in conclusion, I just want to tell you to, you're not alone in this. There's probably other people in this room who struggle with RSI. There's lots of things to try. I went from doctor to doctor for years. None of them could help. Not a single one ever suggested diet changes to me. Doctors are very poorly trained in nutrition for the most part. There's so many things to learn. It's just not in the curriculum for the most part. So reach out if you're struggling. You don't have to do it alone. You don't have to be huddled over in pain alone. Thank you.
Sorry, there's not enough room for me and Brian on the stairs, but I can give you a hug, Brian. Thank you so much for being brave and sharing that with us. And that's what this space is for. And as an artist, creating the community sculpture out there with all of you, I love how Brian is celebrating his successes and journey through creativity and through beautiful pieces of artwork. The sleeves are amazing. So thank you for that, Brian.